Okay, welcome to my presentation about my essay entitled Critically Discuss the Impacts of the Arab Spring on the Political Development of the Middle East. So firstly we're going to start with a background on the Arab Spring. So it basically started in 2010 in Tunisia with something called the Jasmine Revolution, which is where there was an overspilling of public anger about issues such as inflation, unemployment, corruption, and a lack of personal freedom such as freedom of speech, and these led to political protest and a lot of civil unrest, eventually causing the ousting of the President Ben Ali and his autocratic regime and the establishment of a democracy. This movement of political protest spread to many other states in the Middle East and North Africa with varying degrees of success. Okay, so quick background on political development. It is described as the improvement of human life through the improvement of the political system. It can basically include things like the effective rule of law, improvement to infrastructure, ensuring security, increased political participation, and most importantly, democratisation. And democracy is really at the centre of the theory of political development. It's seen as crucial by many theorists, but it's arguably not always necessary, because it could be argued that autocratic governments can ensure certain basic levels of development, such as access to education and access to healthcare. So it could be argued that democracy is not always crucial to development as a whole. It's also suggested that politically underdeveloped states cannot actually support other forms of development, such as like economic and human development. So in this way, political development could be seen as a prerequisite for development as a whole. Just a couple of the successes of the Arab Spring for political development. Tunisia being arguably the biggest success, it experienced a transition to a free and fair democratic system with a four-party system, greater rights for women, and improved free speech. Also, the human development could be argued to have been improved by greater access to personal freedom and autonomy, which is central to SEN's claims about human development. So it could, however, despite this, it could be argued that the economic issues that were largely responsible for the Jasmine Revolution in the first place still persist in Tunisia. So, for example, unemployment and inflation is still a major issue, especially in young people, and this is hindering development progress as a whole. Morocco was also a minor success. So, political protest encouraged the King Mohammed VI to surrender some of his powers and issue constitutional reform. However, he still retains a lot of his authority. But his reforms did include frameworks for human development through community-based projects, which have been fairly successful towards human development. Okay, some of the failures. Syria, the Arab Spring in Syria led to a major clash between President Assad and opposition forces, and this eventually caused the Syrian civil war, which led to an untold death toll, infrastructure destruction, and a major refugee crisis, which has just completely destroyed all development progress in the country. And this supports the claim that conflict majorly hinders development. Egypt's also a bit of a failure of the Arab Spring. Like, the country is currently polarised between the interim military government and the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the opposition. And the violent kind of military regime has given Egypt many of the aspects of a kind of police state. So this represents that political development isn't really in evidence here. Some of the causes of the failures could be argued that authoritarianism and like anti-democratic forces and like political systems that manipulate like religion and people's patronage to kind of hold on to their power have kind of stopped democracy really taking hold in the Middle East. Like there's a lot of barriers, for example, like religious tensions, monarchies, military regimes, and fundamentalism, which mean that it's not really an ideology that has taken hold yet, as is shown by this, which is like a map of political systems in the Middle East and North Africa, and the only true democracy is Tunisia, and they're Algeria, Morocco, Egypt are autocracies or restricted democracies, and then it shows that democracy hasn't really taken hold. But it could be argued that in order for political development and democratisation to occur, economic development must come first. And this supports the idea of modernisation theory, where economic development must be the prerequisite to other forms. So the economy must modernise before other forms of development can happen. And this may be a major barrier to democracy in the Middle East. So in conclusion, there's some success. Tunisia have had a successful democratisation process, but it may take decades for that to consolidate, as shown by this diagram. There's major barriers to democracy in other parts of the Middle East. It could be argued that democracy is not always necessary. The Arab Spring has led to conflict and the just complete collapse of development progress in Syria. It could also be argued that one of the major problems behind democracy in the Middle East is that economic development must come first and be seen as a prerequisite for any kind of political change. But one positive is that in states where political development has been successful, human development has also improved. So yeah, and some critique of the essay that remarks on the kind of success of democratisation in Tunisia. They kind of jumped to a premature conclusion. Whilst Tunisia showed promising signs, it may take a few decades for us to know the true impacts of this. Also, the focus of the essay must be more consistently focused on political development. It encompassed other forms of development, but the focus needed to be more clear. So yeah, thank you for listening. These are my references. Thank you very much.